Obviously, it took 4 months for Cricinfo to make a dream team for Pakistan. Not a surprise there, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, this might be the last time you see Ahmer Naqvi on an ESPN.
Let's.
Hello and welcome to yet another episode of ESPNcricinfo Dream Team, where we select an all-time best 11 based on a theme. I'm Kartik Iyer, and today's is a humdinger. Our panel of experts are going to select Pakistan's greatest Test 11. There is a caveat though. We are looking at performances since the start of 1990, so just the last 30 years, which means a lot of big names will miss out. In our latest dream team, which was India's greatest ODI 11, Rana Kapoor, who I'm standing in for, had mentioned that Osman Samiuddin lost his place in our selection panel. This was due to the whole Rohit Sharma fiasco when he was selected in the current best Test 11. But a change of host, Osman, means that you make your return. But here's my question. Can you make this return count?
By not picking Rohit Sharma in this Test 11, I think I would have won.
So joining Osman is our very own Danyal Rasool, and who, in typically Pakistani fashion, is here to give the younger guys a chance in the team. The millennials, if you will. How's it going, Danyal?
Not too bad. I'm getting used to this now.
That's great to hear. Ahmer Naqvi is a freelance journalist on popular culture. He was most recently the digital media consultant for the Pakistan Super League. He has frequently written for ESPNcricinfo. And if you go to his index on our blog page, it says, Ahmer, that you are the Brian Lara of cricket blogs. Genius, but I'm not going to fill in the blanks there because being compared to Lara is pressure enough. Hope all's well and safe, Ahmer.
It's pretty good. I also wanted to comment, guys, on the fact that this is late July and we're doing Dream 11s, which is like pandemic month one content. So like,
But this is your task, okay? You have to pick Pakistan's greatest Test 11 from the past 30 years. So that means 1990 onwards. It's conditions agnostic. This team should be able to compete across the world. You need to settle on a batting order. You need to pick a captain. You need to pick a 12th man. Pick the best drinks carrier as well. Let's go. So because it's a Dream 11, let's start this in batting order as well. Openers. So who do we have? I mean, Saeed Anwar has to make the cut, doesn't he, Osman?
So I think before we started recording this, Ahmer was adamant that he would have Mohammad Hafiz in as the first name on this team sheet, especially because, Pakistan's opening has been so awful since the 90s. But, Hafiz's record, it's literally second only to one man.
Definitely. So first things I have to say that a Dream 11, I feel, is a very fascist impulse, right? Like, because it's just like you can't lose with these guys and whatever. And Pakistan in particular cannot produce teams that can't lose. Just doesn't happen. I think you lose Pakistan cricket if you're making some guys who can't lose. So
even the Pakistan 11,
yeah. So my agenda has to be like, this has to be the most Pakistani 11 possible, which means just as likely to get out for 44 on day one and then concede 500. I think if you're not bringing that into it. Yeah, I mean, and also because like Pakistan doesn't have a lot of great Test players. Like I think like
there's your first clip, guys. There's your first clip.
You have most of your lineup sorted out already. So like Saeed Anwar, like I mean,
it's a no-brainer. I think all three.
Yeah, right. Like there's not even a fun argument you can make. So I think it's really the second slot which I would give to Afridi.
Afridi,
but definitely give to Afridi.
Yeah, that is actually, I didn't think of this. That is actually, my choice was a very, very, I mean, who could have, obviously not Hafiz. The criteria for me was, yes, it was Azhar Ali because the criteria
that's what I wanted to go.
But Shoaib Mohammad averages 50 as opener in the 90s, I think.
Yeah, but Shoaib Mohammad was like towards I think he didn't play that much.
Yeah.
I'm just checking how many tests he had.
16.
Yeah, he was kind of like his peak was the mid to late 80s, I would say more. Afridi actually is a real wild card that you've thrown. And like, I'm really tempted because he gives you a bowling option as well in that side.
So that was one of the main reasons that you want to stock a Pakistan 11 with as many bowling options as you can. You really should not, like that's your strong suit. But batsmen, even if you take the all-time best Pakistani batsmen, I have personally witnessed them in sub 100 collapses a million times. So
what's Afridi going to bring? Right? What's the worst he can do?
Like, let's not try and
pretend,
okay, oh, there's no stability. Shut up. There's never been.
No, but like Osman and Danyal said, to make the case for Azhar Ali, as an opener, he's got 200s in the West Indies. He's got that 203 not out in Australia as well for Azhar Ali. Both Danyal and
205, I think. Yeah.
205 not out in Australia.
He's got a triple 100.
Here's the argument for Afridi here. Firstly, he's a bowler as well. So now you've got a leg spinner who can get overs done, etc. Secondly, that it's Pakistan. So like, who are you? Like, I'm being serious here. Like, you cannot tell me that, here's a solid opening pair. Like, thirdly, a Pakistan team, all my choices also are factoring in a player's potential to bring dressing room drama, controversy, media interest, fan interest. So Azhar Ali is just like destroyed.
Just like the opposite. He's literally the anti-Afridi. He's literally the anti-Afridi in every way.
Emma, are you sure you want to have Afridi at the top and not at number 8 later on as
100%.
You need Afridi at the top, I think.
Yeah, I don't think Afridi adds, like, if you're bringing him that low, then you're taking away a genuine bowler. So I don't think Afridi is giving you that much. Losing a Pakistani genuine bowler is a lot worse than losing a Pakistani genuine batsman.
Genuine opener.
And if you make it an opener, then you can't even call anyone genuine other than Saeed Akbar. So, you might as well go with anyone.
So,
Afridi is madcap enough, I think. And he's had, actually, to his credit, he's had a couple of outstanding innings since 1990 for sure, like both against India and...
It was in Chennai where he scored 141 batting as an opener.
Yeah, I mean, I think Emma's argument is really valid that, it's not like you're going to get solidity in that opening pair. So you might as well go with a wild card who's going to bring you a lot else extra. Plus, he's also, at his peak, he was a really good fielder. So I may switch from the boring choice of Azhar Ali that I had made and say, but Emma, be prepared for like the kind of ridicule that we will receive for this, for putting Afridi into an all-time Pakistan Test 11, of course.
So I mean, his numbers are much better than you'd expect because we get fooled by his average. He averages north of 37 in Test.
Test matches, his average is high. He's got 4 or 5 centuries as a Test player,
and some iconic innings at the top of the order. So
guys, I'm just gonna warn you that my number 3 choice is even more controversial. So like, if you just choose which hills you want to die on, because I'm just.
I will die on the number 3 hill.
Okay, fine.
So are we settled in on Saeed Anwar, who has got hundreds in Wellington, Colombo, the Oval, Durban, Brisbane,
everywhere,
and that 188 in Kolkata? Who is going to partner Shahid Afridi at the top of the order?
Let's go with Afridi.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's choose
That's
Afridi.
done then. So number 3 now. So here's the thing about number 3. I was looking at Yunus Khan's stats, and it's interesting. In the entire 2000s, he batted at 3. In the 2010s, when Azhar Ali came in, he batted at number 4. So if Yunus Khan's a certainty, do you put him at 3 or 4 or where?
So out of the triumvirate of the Inzi, Moyo, YK, I've only gone with one of them. And as I said, like, you have to, Pakistan cricket has to be box office. You want to put it on and you want to enjoy what you're watching. And box office doesn't mean Oscar winners. Box office also means Michael Bay, right? So for number 3, Ijaz Ahmed.
It's not a crazy choice, by the way. It's absolutely not a crazy choice. I would have considered it myself, but I just think that Yunus Khan's body of work is, he didn't often like. But I'm looking at my middle order in true Pakistani fashion is fairly interchangeable. So if you're at 3 in this Dream 11, it's not necessary that when the team actually goes out on the field to play, that number 3 will still be number 3. He may be number 4. I would have Yunus Khan at number 3, just because I don't think there's been a better and a more successful modern day Pakistani batsman than him. I think the things that he has done in his career, the way he has effectively reinvented his batting, essentially by himself, and his record, I think, now pretty much everywhere. I know he's got a few dips here and there, but he's a guy who you can literally put onto any surface on this planet. And you would back him to score runs rather than not. He's got amazing conversion rate, just the hunger for runs. I mean, Ijaz is not as much of a disruptor as you might think Ahmer, and great player, very underrated, vastly underrated. But I would go with Yunus ahead of him for sure at one down.
I think it's Usman made this point, but it's the consistency with which he's done it. So it's not as if he's suffered sustained bad patches, and this is around a time when there were times when Pakistan didn't play Test cricket at all. I think there was a time 2007 or 2008 when Pakistan didn't play a single Test for a whole year, and Pakistan has had those patches, and Yunus has always been there on either side of those patches to provide stability. He's at times been banned indefinitely for unspecified reasons. He's come back. He's done well. And as Usman said, he's coached himself. And I think over the last few weeks, we've seen very clearly that he does not take kindly to other people coaching him. He definitely coaches himself. And so I think in a way he's a kind of genius that maybe doesn't come across in some of the silly things that he does or some of the media headlines that he makes. But yeah, as a cricketer, as a Pakistan cricketer, I don't think you'd find arguably a better batsman, especially.
Plus, you need somebody in slips who can catch. I have this thing about him. He has to be there in the slip cordon if nothing else. Plus, Ahmer, to further get you to your point, he brings the crazy to this team. It's Yunus Khan. He brings the crazy.
Yunus, of course, has scored over 10,000 runs in Test cricket. Just don't have bread and butter with him, and you'll be fine. So at number 4, guys, go for it. Is it Inzi? Is there any other competition? Is it Mohammad Yusuf?
So I don't know. The question here, and I don't know if you two had it as well, is that I was thinking of ways to fit in Inzi, Salim Malik, Moyo, and Misbah.
Are you gonna fit in Misbah?
So I thought you could do.
I'm not hung on Misbah. I'm not hung on Misbah, but it'd be nice to have kind of, I don't know. I have these 4 names.
YK, Yusuf, Inzi, and Misbah, I think is what the boring safe choice is.
Thanks.
So I think you should drop Inzamam.
and get
Inzamam is the hill that I die on. Inzamam was my childhood hero. He's the one who got me to watching cricket. No.
4 and 5 Bobby with Moyo and Bobby. Yeah, dude, beautiful.
I'm not getting rid of Inzi.
Beautiful.
No, so I did think of. I did think a lot of Babar, but I just feel like abhi 26 test hoye. It's 26 test matches. It's just not enough of a sample for me.
And about half of those test matches, he took a while getting started. He took a while to find his feet in test.
Yeah, he's only been on this godlike run in the last 2 years.
Impressive work has only been about 12 test matches.
We've given enough respect to Inzi to justify dropping him, because honestly, if you've lost your top 3, right, and you've got whoever you choose in this lineup, and it's got McGraw and some Ambrose on a spicy pitch. Yeah. It doesn't matter which Pakistani from post 90s you pick. I'm sorry, it really does not matter. Maybe Inzi will go one day, maybe he won't.
Smash Ambrose for a really big 6. I remember in that game Pakistan lost.
1-6, yeah. 1-6.
He broke a window in Georgia.
It's not
he did score 100.
Playing more than one ball, right?
He did score 100, didn't he?
Yeah.
So my 2 issues with Inzi is that I can definitely see him dropping a catch and injuring his finger. And then
he's one of the best slippers there. What are you talking about?
He injured his finger, but he caught all those catches where he injured his fingers. I remember the 99 where every slip catch he took, he injured his finger, he went off, but he caught all those catches.
Kartik, I think what we've got to do now is we've got to work backwards and go downwards up from the bowlers to then the last 2 or 3 middle order floor. Yeah. I think that might then we can see the balance of our team and then fight over the last few places.
Shall I just put in Wasim Akram at number 8? And it's unanimous. Yeah. Now let's decide the rest of the bowling attack.
I want to have Shoaib in the team because he's Shoaib, and he's actually, if you look at Pakistan's post 1990 kind of, or even post Waqar and Wasim bowling resources, fast bowling resources, he's got the best numbers out there. He wasn't in it for a long time, but he was in it for a damn good time. Always. So I would have Shoaib there. I think.
The question will actually have to be, who gets the new ball? Because as far as I understand, there's no way Shoaib gets the new ball. You give it to Wasim and you give it to Asif, which means you have to actually compare their numbers at first change. Waqar Yunus averages 17 at first change. No one else in Pakistan is within I think 10, 12 runs.
You know what? In my rush to make this team, I hadn't even put Asif in there. No, I did have a theory behind it. I thought that Asif, body of work again. It
Sorry,
23 test
I'm not
matches
even
is
Usman. I can't.
No.
I can't.
With Asif, I'm willing to
I
give a
just,
body of work
I just
exemption. Where are you going to find a bowler like that?
this. I can't even what the hell.
so okay. So then we go. Okay, so then we drop Shoaib and we go with Wasim, Waqar, and Asif.
I think Shoaib and Waqar,
Okay.
this was the only choice I couldn't make because they're so close. They're both right-handed pacers. They're both got good numbers, and I think Waqar edges out on the numbers. Shoaib edges out on the showmanship, which is not a knock on Waqar. Waqar is still.
Waqar early 90s was
amazing.
Waqar early 90s was
Yeah, the only knock on Waqar is I think the last 4 or 5 years he's a victim of his earlier success in that in the early 90s he was just so good he couldn't compare to that in his last 3 or 4 years. But I still think he was good enough to include in I think the reason
Waqar never played like more than 5 tests at a time.
Right? The thing about Shoaib that would put me off is that he would not be able to complete a series for you. He might not even finish a test match for you. The injuries that would put me off.
If the other side bats 100 overs, that's Shoaib out for the test.
But that's what makes me bring Shoaib into the side. Because you need a Pakistani side that's resentful and pissed off at the star player, not both. I'm very serious about this.
No, but you also need a side which turns up on the field every day.
No, you don't. No? That's a Pakistan Dream 11 is not constructed to win every match. That can be for other sides.
Ahmer is being strategic. Ahmer is being strategic because if he includes Shoaib, then we'll have to include Razak because Shoaib is not going to complete.
Exactly. That is exactly.
I think, guys,
exactly the thing that's happening here. So you have Shoaib at his absolute fittest and his absolute best and his absolute biggest showmanship. He's there. And you have Waqar in his early 90s pomp, the headband on, the gold chain, the tails of all the ladies that are dying over him, and the bhaddas with Wasim.
Nicole Kidman
the destroyer. So at his peak, at their peaks of everything, which one would you go for in this team?
I think this is the hardest call. Honestly, I thought
so think of it that way. The mighty 90s was personified by young Waqar or Shoaib.
I think it's impossible to answer that. I think both, because both of them have such, unlike Wasim.
Then you'd have to drop Asif.
You're not making a Dream 11 without Asif or Wasim. I'm sorry. That's just.
The problem with leaving Waqar out is a lot of Pakistanis insist on Wasim and Waqar being on all-time Test 11s, not just Pakistani 11s. They get mad when Waqar and Wasim both aren't in those. So if we leave Waqar in the Pakistani 11 from 1990 onwards, I think that's doing a disservice to that.
Here's where we're at. It's between Waqar and Shoaib. And if you look at the period that we're considering...
Kartik, you choose.
I was going to say actually, Kartik, who would you
I was going to say you choose.
Waqar has 200 more test wickets than Shoaib in the period under discussion. I mean, this shouldn't even be a consideration.
Thank you.
I love that.
Yeah, I think you skipped over Mohammad Asif a little too soon, saying he's a certain starter. And there has to be a stronger case for us.
With due respect, only a non-Pakistani could make this point. Because if you're Pakistani and you watch Mohammad Asif all your, whatever, for 5 years, however how long he was around, there's no way you would not have, even though I did not have him in my side initially, I quickly realized the error of my ways. I quickly realized the error of my ways.
I cannot imagine a batsman in cricketing history, a batter in cricketing history, that would feel that Asif could not dismiss. I would put that right up there. And I think and the other thing you have to bring in for the Asif case is, so now you've got your new ball with a left arm and Asif on right arm. And then when the ball loses a bit of shine, then you've got rapid pace coming in. We're assuming Razak is young enough to pump it in, and we're assuming Razak is in the side.
Nice try.
So Shoaib or Waqar also, as I said, has averages insane as first chain. So he's coming in as first chain. So I think Asif is also brings a variety that Pakistan cricket usually doesn't have. A lot of other teams absolutely have that type of metronomic bowler, and Asif is so much more than that. But so I think there's a lot of ways that Asif makes that case.
Yeah, of course. I would ultimately, Waqar and Shoaib, I think I might go with Waqar. That might be just me being an old man. and being a bit safer.
The case is just stronger for Waqar, yeah.
Yeah, I would rather have somebody. Yeah. And even I feel like even at his peak, at both their peaks, Waqar was still more consistent than Shoaib was.
I think it's the showmanship. It's that really that while Waqar is a very different sort of showman from Shoaib, they're just box office. And I think that that's usually Shoaib could beat out a lot of other cricketers on that front. But I think Waqar is somebody, maybe not as a personality, but as the whole aura matches up to him.
Okay, so we've got
Wasim Akram, Mohammad Asif, and Waqar Younis. We need a spinner.
Yeah, so now the spinner.
Probably the options are Danish Paneria, Yasir Shah, Saqlain Mushtaq Ahmed, or even Saeed Ajmal.
Saeed Ajmal. Insane numbers. Yasir Shah. Ajmal, if they don't let Ajmal bowl, my dream 11 is walking off. I'm sorry, we're not even playing. So like
I would have a leg. I would have a leggy there.
The thing is, Ajmal is so deceptive. Ajmal is so deceptive. Even he wouldn't get many LBWs because Hawkeye doesn't know where his balls are going either. So do we want to?
Yeah. No. I don't know. I feel like
I might go for Yasir Shah, to be honest. Yeah, I don't think a side is complete without a proper leg spinner, and not an Afridi leg spinner.
Not Yasir Shah, guys.
Afridi is there as an option. Yeah, Yasir Shah. The thing is that it's just the variance in his records, like in one type of condition versus the Sina record. It's just so big. It's so massive that you feel like he doesn't know how to bowl outside of the UAE sometimes, right? Yeah, he literally doesn't know how to bowl outside of the UAE or helpful kind of conditions. Sri Lanka, he's had wickets in as well.
Yasir also is a kind of what I would say maybe a modern spinner where he's not looking to spin it outrageously, and it's really like he uses the fact that we've got DRS that helps with LBWs, etc., which is I think that kind of bowling, uski margin of error probably a lot less when he brings it over to these other countries and he doesn't have other things going for him. He needs the pitch to be a certain way for that.
The only thing I would say is he's awful in South Africa, New Zealand, Australia, but at his best in England you could still make a case for him because we do know
in England his numbers are
in England on certain conditions.
Yeah, half of those series. Half of that 2016 series, he was amazing. The other,
I would make a case for like peak era Saqlain was hands down the best spin bowler in the world at that time. Well, okay, no, Shane Warne was around, but he was up there. Like peak era Saqlain. So I'm talking like what is it? Late 90s for about 3-4 years. And I think we looked at some numbers somewhere like for 4 or 5 years. He was like just up there as the best spinner alongside
Warne. How does his record stack up in the Southern Hemisphere?
Overall numbers, I remember when I looked, I also wanted to choose Saqlain, but I think Ajmal had slightly better numbers. What I also want to bring into the thing, and I think that's where both Ajmal and Saqlain are good, but others might not be, is that this Dream 11 is going to face Lara, who is going to decide that you think you're a Dream 11 spinner, I'm going to show you your Auqat. So you need a spinner who can handle, like who has a huge heart. I think like with Canada and Yasir.
And Danish has taken his wickets like 5 times. Okay, are you making the case for Danish?
Have you seen that video? You've seen the video. You sent me that video where Danish tells him good shot and Lara's like what? And it's just
4 sixes and stuff off the next 5 balls.
And so Lara in a platonic ideal cricket match is definitely out to destroy your Chiefs.
He's going to do that to anyone. He did that to Murli. He'll do that to anybody.
So you need Saqlain and Ajmal, I think, are the best in terms of being able to be hit for 6 sixes and still come back attacking. I think with other guys, that's the problem.
Yasir, it would destroy
in as well.
Yeah. Yasir and Danish, it would kind of destroy.
I'm most worried towards Saqlain because of maybe solely that 99 series where he took 5 wickets in each inning. So I think 4 consecutive innings.
Chennai, against India.
India. So I think that sort of peak at
took wickets in Australia as well. Took a 6 for in Australia.
Yeah.
Also probably the best partner for.
If I had to pick between Ajmal and Saqlain, then I might go for Saqlain.
After the top 3 of top wicket takers ever for Pakistan cricket in Test, which are the 2 pacers and Imran Khan.
All
these 5 spinners in succession, except Shoaib Akhtar comes somewhere in the middle, but it's all these 5 spinners.
Qadir, Danish, all these guys, Mushtaq. I don't know, but like Mushtaq Ahmed, I feel, again, he had like a few years in the mid-90s in which he was an outstanding leggy across the world. In England, he took wickets. In Australia, he took wickets. In New Zealand, he took wickets. In Pakistan, he was taking wickets. I think for like 3 or 4 years, maybe he was a really, really good leggy around the world. So I don't know.
So, I would
Plus
agree.
his
I would
kind of,
agree
I
with.
mean, yeah, go on.
So I was saying I would agree with that. I think the only tweak I would bring into this is that in most teams, the conversation between the off spinner and the leg spinner is a different nature than the one that you have in Pakistan. You've got off spinners who are also able to turn it both ways, which most countries are not having that conversation.
Are not, yeah. They don't have,
So I think that the conventional off versus leg thing in Pakistan changes a bit. Because you want a bowler who can attack the rough, etc. But your Saklan, if you're getting peak era Saklan where he's doing all the things he's doing, I don't like. He's great. And the other thing, I think you're Pakistan, so you need your bowlers to bat. So you have to wait. I think Saklan can bat. Ajmal can bat a bit as well, but I think Saklan edges Ajmal out on all these factors.
Saklan has like more solid defensive.
Saklan also edges out on the fact that he was a pioneer in the Dusra thing that Ahmer talked about.
Let's get So I'm happy with Saklan as a spinner.
Okay, Saklan. Let's put in Saklan then. And Ahmer, you said that all of these guys can bat, and these days in Test cricket, it's extremely important to have a team that sticks around.
Asif Khan.
So Asif is number 11. Now pick your 8, 9, 10 as well. You pick it.
So Wasim at 8. Wasim at 8. Probably Saklan at 9.
Saklan at 9.
And Waqar at 10. Waqar at 10 and Asif at 11.
And Mohammad Asif at 11. Okay.
So let's pick the keeper before we go to the batsman. Let's pick the keeper. If we don't pick Rashid Latif, then I'm not only shutting down the show, I'm closing ESPNcricinfo officially.
Really? Rashid Latif is a nicer guy than Moin Khan, but
forget what a guy.
Sorry, what are we going with?
Rashid Latif, Osman said Rashid Latif and Danyal, I want to make Rashid Latif's case over Moin Khan for you, because Rashid Latif played in that same period, played half the test Moin Khan did. He has more in terms of pure statistics. He has more dismissals than Moin Khan as well. In that similar period, where
he was a better keeper. There's like zero doubt that he was a way better keeper. He was one of the best keepers Pakistan has ever had.
Moin Khan was a more
batting averages are roughly the same.
Like to watch.
Moin dropped acrobatic keeper. He dropped too many catches for my liking, Moin Khan.
As Usman says, like Rashid's batting and keeping, batting is comparable to Moin's, keeping is incomparable to anyone else's. And I think you select a keeper in Pakistan basically to not drop the catches that the bowlers will keep creating.
Yes.
It really doesn't matter if he's making 5 runs less or 10 runs more.
In the interest of balance, can we get some love for Kamran Akmal's century in Karachi?
It's the greatest century scored by a wicketkeeper. Yeah, it was a great century. But
that is the greatest century scored by a Pakistani wicketkeeper in the last 30 years, I'd say.
So Rashid Latif is at number 7. Now we need to answer the Mohammad Yusuf question. This guy in 2006 ended up scoring 1,788 runs, which is it still the record for the most test runs?
It's a record, yeah. It's a record. Most centuries in a year, most number of test runs in a year, yeah. I like to put perspective on that year is that was just one great year. And not like now we're used to seeing like, Williamson and Kohli and Smith stringing together 4 years in a row, which are almost as good as that one great year. So we're talking that level.
That's also.
I'm not discounting him, by the way. I'm not discounting him. I'm just saying that I'm not like taking him out of the team, by the way. I think I would have Moyo in the team. Yeah, I would have him there because in terms of Pakistani batsmanship, I don't think until Babar came along, I don't think there's been as naturally gifted, what they say, as naturally gifted a batsman as Mohammad Yusuf.
And I think we can't underestimate that because like Pakistan, at least the cricket of Pakistan that I've watched that this period covers, has like remarkably ugly batsmen. Like just like the kind that already, if you hate them enough for the lack of runs they score, but you literally cannot bear to watch them. Right? Like so Hafiz, Babar, and Moyo are probably the only guys that you can watch and still at least get some aesthetic joy out of it. Like everybody else is bottom hand and this and that. I think in terms of stats, it's really Yunus Khan who walks into the team in the middle order. Because everyone else, you can make a very strong case about them not being good enough for any Dream 11 except Pakistan.
I like Moyo for the complete contrast he offers between his on-field charisma and his complete lack of off-field personality as well. Because if you speak to Mohammad Yusuf, you would never guess he's the player who can play those cover drives and who can play with that sort of natural talent that obviously I think maybe only Moyo has in the last 4 years.
I think one of the greatest innings, modern day innings that we've seen ever, I think underrated again, is his 100 in the Boxing Day test at the MCG. That was against like a peak Australia attack. McGrath, Gillespie, Warren, all at the top of their game.
Yeah.
And the innings that was, that might be a come to think of it, actually. It's probably one of the greatest innings of all time. I'm arguing for it right now. And he could do it. That wasn't even in his dream year. I think we've got Moyo.
Mohammad Yusuf at number 4. Yeah.
Which leaves 5 and 6 now?
Which leaves 5 and 6.
And Inzi's 5.
No, okay. So you guys have decided between Inzamam. You'll have to pick between Inzamam, Misbah, and Abdul Razak probably for 5 and 6. Those are the names.
I mean, can we just round out the nominees, right? So like
I'd throw Salim Malik I'd throw Salim Malik in.
I want to put in the thinking man's Imran Farhat, which is Asim Kamal.
Of course.
Because it's just like these are two guys that everybody's like, where did he go? Why is he not back in the team? Like,
he's the Mohammad Zahid of the batting.
No, so Mohammad Zahid, I feel, are posers. Mohammad Zahid reference droppers are posers.
Yeah,
people who worry about Imran Farhat and Asim Kamal
are the real.
Yeah, because you have to be delusional to still care about Imran Farhat.
Most runs at number 6 by far, I think,
Papa.
after he is Asad Shafiq.
Asad Shafiq
and Papa.
So I'm going to throw Asad Shafiq, and I might go out on a limb and try and make a case for him. So how ball by ball guys aren't. Some of the comments we get aren't very discerning, but one of the best ones I got with Shafiq was Asad Shafiq is never out of form, but he's never in form either. And I think that's the best anyone's ever summed up Asad Shafiq's career.
I think that's the strongest argument for him to be part of this side. For me, that argument that is the strongest argument.
No, but Asad Shafiq has that stat which everyone throws. No, it's like the Pakistan fourth most intelligent nation stat. Yeah, that Gary
at number 6
record that is second only to or better than Gary Sobers even at number 6 or whatever. He's got more centuries than Gary Sobers.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
The thing is, if Pakistan is a side that's not going to set the world on fire and win every match. Pakistan, the sort of side that's going to plod along, not be diabolically bad, just be average, and that's exactly what Pakistan have been in the last 30 years. That's why Asad should be.
That is not the last 30 years, Danyal. Tumhari umar kam hai, so like this is like this is Misbah's last 10 years, but like I think, and even in those 10 years, like I've done on pieces on Pakistan collapsing, like after they became number 1. They had like just the most insane collapses. So I think you have to have a Pakistani side it's never boring. The day Pakistan cricket is boring, you need to disband. And
so then is Asad Shafiq in there purely because somebody has to score that useless 100 at the end of the day?
I want to give it to Razak.
No one's ever going to drop Asad Shafiq. So he's going to be there. 70 tests, 80 tests, maybe 100 tests.
Razak at 6 is high, man. A best ever Test 11 since the 90s of Pakistan can't have both Afridi and Razak in it. I just feel like one is enough. One all-rounder is enough.
So, who are you going with?
I'm torn between trying to put Misbah in there as well, man. At 5, I'm torn between putting Misbah and Inzi, I guess.
So how about you pick this number 6 first, because
you know what? I'm going to go with Inzi. I'm going to go with Inzi at 5. And he can be our captain as well. Or, I mean, Wasim can be the captain or whatever. But Inzi will be there.
There has to be a bowling captain. There's no back.
Yeah, so we can make Wasim.
Wasim can't
Wasim can be the bowling captain. Yes,
Wasim has to be captain.
Okay, but Ahmed, you agree that Inzi at 5?
Inzi at 5. Kartik, put him down.
Inzi at 5, I think that's the consensus. That's been put.
I would then argue for
Misbah a number 6.
Misbah at 6?
I would argue because like he's I mean, as much as
Misbah over Asad any day.
Complain about him. Yeah, he's bringing you good tactics as well. Yeah. He's good at scouting out opposition.
Shafiq, as much as I love him, as much as I really adore him, he brings nothing to the field apart from his batting. Misbah brings
Do you remember that
catching,
crazy slip catch?
catching, yes. Short leg, silly leg, fine, leg slip catching, yes. Okay, all that is there.
Asad, Asad has won 2 Man of the Match awards and never when Pakistan have won a match.
That's another strong argument. Man, Danyal is making some awesome arguments. I can't.
If it comes down to Misbah or Asad, we're going Misbah. Like there's no doubt about that.
I guess I'm overruled.
Yeah, okay. So Misbah at number 6. He scored 5,222 runs in his Test career. He averages far more than Asad Shafiq does currently.
There you go.
An average he finished at. He has 10 centuries as well. So Misbah-ul-Haq is our number 6. I'm going to run through the team once again. You have Saeed Anwar opening along with Michael Bay's very own star of Shahid Afridi. Then you have Yunus Khan at number 3. Muhammad Yusuf at 4. Inzi at 5. Misbah at 6. Rashid Latif is our keeper at 7. Wasim Akram is at number 8. It is Saqlain Mushtaq at number 9, Waqar Yunus at 10, and Mohammad Asif at 11. Now we need a captain.
Wasim.
Wasim.
Misbah.
Asif.
Misbah.
No, Wasim. He's got to be Wasim.
I mean, if you have Misbah in the side, then you got to make him captain. I wouldn't have him in the side, but now that he is there, you chuck the armband on him.
No, because I think Misbah captaining this team will never be able to captain him. He can captain kids. He cannot captain this team. You need
a personality like Wasim to be able to handle this team.
I still Asif vice captain. Okay, Asif vice captain. Vice. Emphasis on vice.
How many of this 11 have actually been Pakistan captains? Must have been 7 or 8.
All of them. Wait, Saeed has been, Afridi has been, Yunus has been, Mohammad Yusuf has been, Inzi has been, Misbah has been, Rashid has been, Wasim has been, Saqlain has not been, Waqar has been. So only 2 of them. Saqlain and Asif.
Let's make them the captain. Saqlain and Asif are the captains.
Yeah. Between Wasim Akram, who 2 of y'all have gone for, and Misbah-ul-Haq, Danyal, if you've made your case for Misbah, but if you'd agree to Wasim, we'll just go with Wasim Akram as captain of this side.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes. What can possibly go wrong?
Yeah. Wasim is captain. Now, firstly, before we choose a drinks man as well, we need a 12th man.
Shoaib Akhtar, I think, is a good choice. I don't think.
No, but you need him to actually field sometimes, right?
Yeah.
But look, what do you need about fielding, guys?
You got Inzi into the side. You don't get to judge people on field.
And I think all of you all made an excellent case for Shoaib Akhtar being part of the 11 as well. So let's go with him as 12th man. Ahmer, over to you. You wanted one drinks carrier in the side. So who is that going to be?
Asif is already in the side, so he can't be the carrier.
I wanted to pay homage to Sarfaraz Nawaz, who was asked in the 79 Melbourne test, how are you going to celebrate? And he said, with drinks. And then he realized he's on live TV and is going back to an Islamic country. So he goes, soft drinks. And even though that's before the 90s, I feel Sarfaraz Nawaz should unretire and be made part of it. Just like no one has a more iconic drinks reference in Pakistan.
I'm glad you mentioned the pre-90s because the criteria for this greatest Test 11 was that we're going to choose players from 1990 onwards. So now, of course, Pakistan, with its great Test cricket history, has a lot of players who can make the cut pre-90s. I want each of you all to maybe give me 1 or 2 names and who do you think will replace in this side? I mean, you have options like Imran Khan, Javed Miandad, Tahir Abbas, Hanif Mohammad even, Abdul Qadir, of course, Wasim Bari also. So, Ahmer, you go first. Who could replace from the pre-90s era could replace any of the players in this side? And don't say everyone.
I mean, I love the post-90s cricketers a lot more. I would definitely drop Afridi to bring in Majid Khan. And I think my first reason for doing that would be just to piss Imran Khan off, who I'm not going to bring into the side. Just because, I think that would be the final, like Imran Khan's dined off this story of dropping him and blah, blah, blah. So I think you need to plot that revenge. Yeah. And Majid Khan is definitely bringing all those things that I want to see in this side. He's attacking, he's fun. And then there are a lot more boring characters in the middle order. So you've got Wasim Raja or maybe Mushtaq Muhammad. No. I find their personalities very interesting. So
I'd have Javed in there. Javed is a fascinating character.
So yeah, I mean, Javed Imran is so cliche
If you really want to piss Imran Khan off, get Javed in there.
I was going to say that before you even think about Javed and Imran, whose careers would have been nothing, or any of these players, Intikhab Alam.
Yeah, of course.
Intikhab Alam, you have to have a dream 11 with Intikhab Alam.
But then you're talking about like an unbeatable 11 because Intikhab never loses.
Yeah, I guess so.
And that defeats your whole point. That defeats your whole point,
True,
right? You
true.
can't have Intikhab in there. I would have, by the way, I would have Hanif in there.
Yeah, in place of Afridi.
Hanif just purely for the people that he will piss off on Twitter by batting so slow. and for the amount of articles he would inspire about the death of Test cricket. But I mean, like Imran, like any sensible, if we do treat this as a sensible exercise, then Imran is his last 10 years as an international cricketer.
Usman, Misbah?
Over all of them, yeah, you'd have a team of 11 Imrans ideally at the end of the day. Not as fielders, maybe. No, over I don't know, over Inzi maybe I would have him.
Oh wow.
Maybe
so you had like Pakistan's greatest middle order before this was probably with Zahir, Sadiq Mohammad opening, Zahir, and who else was there? Mushtaq himself, Asif Iqbal, and Wasim Raja. That was like a much vaunted kind of middle order that Pakistan had.
Yeah,
I don't know.
If we could go back, I'd actually choose Abdul Qadir over Saklan as well. I'd get Qadir in the side.
Okay, so I think what we need is another episode of Dream Team with a pre-90s Pakistan Test Cricket 11, because currently we're done post-90s and our team is this: Saeed Anwar, Shahid Afridi, Yunus Khan, Mohammad Yusuf, Inzamam Ullah, Misbah Ullah, Rashid Latif, Wasim Akram, Saklan Mushtaq, Waqar Yunus, Mohammad Asif, with Shoaib Akhtar as your 12th man. Ahmer, Osman, Danyal, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Dream Team. Rest assured, you can find our entire Dream Team suite on the website or on our YouTube channel as well. Until next time, stay clean, stay safe.